Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here. Welcome back to the Call of Duty World War II Veteran Difficulty walkthrough. In this video, we're going to be moving on to Mission 2 Operation Cobra. So I'm going to go ahead and usually what I'm going to do in the videos is start off on this little opening screen here just so you can read the little mission briefing, and then as always we'll select the difficulty and choose Veteran, and we're going to start off with a short little cutscene.
And the fellas, I'd say we're doing pretty good. Not good enough for Pearson, but nothing is. Maybe I'll get home by Christmas with a couple medals on my chest. But first, we gotta take Marigny.
Schmeling versus LaMotta.
Schmeling would have KO'd LaMotta.
No way. And Schmeling's a Nazi. I'd shoot him in a heartbeat.
Now, they made him their poster boy. That guy didn't have a choice.
We all got a choice.
You know, Nietzsche said there was only strong...
That's enough mouth. All right. What about Lewis versus Sugar Ray Robinson?
If we're talking 1938, Lewis Robinson wins hands down.
Hey.
Look who came back for more.
I thought you were out another week.
Not after I heard a bunch of tough SOBs were about to take Marigny.
Well, playbook's working. At this rate, we'll be home by Christmas. Don't just stand there. Let's see.
All right. Not bad, eh?
Oh. I've seen worse.
Glad to have you back, Private.
Good to be back, sir.
All right, fellas. We got a unique opportunity here. This is our chance to break out of Normandy. It won't be easy. The hedgerows are heavily defended. We got reports of Kraut armor in the area. But if we can hold and secure Marigny, we own the roadways. And if Zussman can take a knife in the gut and come out swinging, I like our odds just fine.
Always bet on a winner, sir.
For Turner, shielding us is his noble calling.
Let's move.
The war just has a habit of getting in the way.
Alright guys, here we go. We're going to be now thrown into the main gameplay. This level is a little shorter than the first one, and basically what I can tell so far from this game is it starts with kind of the same, every level kind of follows the same formula. You start off with a short little cutscene. Most of the level is uninterrupted gameplay, and then you might have a little, like one or two mini cutscenes throughout, and then the level will end with a short little cutscene. Now, in sections like this, and I'm kind of explaining this for the newer viewers, in sections like this, we do have dialogue going on. However, this is not like an official cutscene. This is just kind of dialogue that falls into the gameplay. So during stuff like this, I will use the commentary to talk about the game and different things like that. It's the official cutscenes. Those are the areas where I don't talk, and I kind of want you guys to, if you want, you can watch and enjoy the stories. Now, Chapter 2 is pretty easy for the most part, but there are two parts that are significantly difficult. I thought they were pretty tough, and if you're not playing along, if you are playing along, then you know what sections I'm probably talking about. That is the plane section and the Jeep section. And it kind of falls in line with what I was talking about in the first video, in Call of Duty games on Veteran Difficulty, when you have to, when you're in like a nice confined room and you're able to, check your corners and move up with caution and things like that, Veteran Difficulty really isn't that hard, because you can just utilize patience and strategy and kind of just creep your way through the building, killing just as you get from person to person. The times when Veteran Difficulty becomes difficult is when you're kind of thrown into this large open battlefield, and you don't have a lot of room for cover, and it's those kind of big action sequences that really make Veteran tough, because you don't have cover, there's not a whole lot of strategy. You just kind of have to grit your teeth and get through it. So those are the two sections that happen in this video here. So the first one, like I said, is the plane section. The second one is the Jeep section. Those two parts are pretty difficult. There are, as always, there are some small little strategies you can use to get through them. But for the most part, it is just going to take a little bit of persistence. Anyway, so in this level here, we are making our way. So I think the level description said that this is about 7 weeks after the invasion of Normandy, or not the invasion. So this is 7 weeks after D-Day. So some time has passed. Now we're kind of pushing inward to you know, branch out and try to take over the rest of the land. So essentially what we're going to do here, to quote Brad Pitt, we're setting out to kill some Nazis. And I'll be honest, I've never even seen that movie, but that is like the one part I saw. One day I've never seen, believe it or not, I've never seen a Quentin Tarantino movie. Just one day I happened to turn on the TV, Inglourious Bastards was on, and it was the exact moment, or one of the many exact moments, I guess, where Brad Pitt says he's going to go kill some Nazis. And that was all. That was the only part of the movie I actually saw. Anyway, what you're going to do here is creep along the right side of this road, and you can see there's a number of enemies down the road, so you can go ahead and take them out from afar. Now this weapon I'm using here, as always, this is a pretty good weapon. I don't know what it's called. I can't read the bottom right corner of the screen while I'm recording this commentary because the text is too small and the resolution on my editing software is not very great. But it's an iron sight carbine is what I refer to. It's a single shot, and it's pretty powerful. It takes about 1 or 2 hits to put an enemy down, depending on where you hit them. Thing that makes it tough, though, is, like I said in the last video, on Veteran Difficulty, you do not get the hit markers. So you actually have no way of knowing that you hit an enemy. You kind of just have to watch and see if the enemy does, in fact, stay down, and that does make things slightly tougher, because if you shoot an enemy, you kind of have to stay out of cover and watch that enemy to make sure they actually did go down. Now, the good news is, like I said, on Veteran, you know, you go down with more shots, but the good news is the enemies do not go down with more shots, as you would expect. The enemies do not really have increased health here. They still go down in 1 or 2 hits, so in that sense, it's pretty realistic. Now, this part right here, the easiest thing I found to do is just jump through that window and run straight behind this wall. This part right here is pretty tough. So there are a number of enemies in this building here, and they all tend to hang out on the 2nd floor. And so what I tried to do a couple of times is I tried to shoot them from the other side of the window. And it was just hard. The enemies would rush me, they would flank me, they would shoot me from far away because they just had better vantage points than I had. So I actually found the best thing to do was just instantly jump through the window, come over here and hide behind this wall. You can see that if an enemy does decide to rush you, it's not very hard to just put a couple shots in their gut and call it a day. And then you can see that you have ample amount of cover for those enemies on the 2nd floor. In fact, they actually cannot see me at all. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of slowly and timidly peek around the corner, look for an enemy, and as soon as I do see an enemy, I'm going to, you know, pop back behind cover and then plan my shot out. Now, the good news is you have a number of AI allies kind of surrounding this building. So the enemies are going to be somewhat distracted by them as well, and so that helps draw away their attention, which means you can kind of just pop out from behind this corner and shoot them in the back a few times. And there you see I'm going to move up a little bit. One thing that's pretty useful to know in Call of Duty games is sorry, it's early in the morning when I'm recording this. The AI allies, your teammates, they are, for the most part, pretty smart. They're not necessarily very useful. They don't really kill a lot of people, but they are pretty smart, meaning that if you try to move up, they'll move up as well. So they'll kind of note your aggressiveness and they'll move up too. And you can use that to your advantage. So once you clear out an area, just move up a little bit, and more often than not, that will trigger your teammates to move up as well. And what that will do is it'll help draw some fire away from you. So another perfect example here is you see there's a number of enemies in this field here. Now what I was trying to do was I was trying to be kind of patient here, and I was going to try to shoot them all from far away. And then I thought, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to move up and hide behind these hay bales here, and by doing that, you can see how my enemies are already moved up, drawing away the fire. So definitely try to use your teammates to your advantage. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stick to the left side of this farmland here, and that should be pretty effective. There are going to be a couple enemies throughout. They're going to be hiding behind the hay bales. You can see there's this shack on the left side. There's a couple enemies hanging out over there. So just kind of pick a hay bale, hide behind it, pop out momentarily, shoot a couple guys. That's kind of the thing, in all honesty, is with Call of Duty games. This is the second Call of Duty game I've made a walkthrough for, and I kind of compare it to the Batman Arkham games. It's, in my opinion, what you're seeing now is going to be more of a playthrough than a walkthrough. And that's because with a game like this, everything seems to just happen differently for every player. You know, sometimes the enemies might be on the left side, sometimes they might be on the right side. It's kind of disordered, and so it's harder to make a walkthrough for that. And also, Call of Duty is a very skill-dependent game. You know, there are games where you could play on the hardest difficulty, and with the right amount of strategy, you could get through it relatively easily. Call of Duty, it does take a certain amount of skill. You know, you do have to be kind of used to these games to be able to beat these games on the hardest difficulty. Now, that being said, it's not impossible, and so this still is going to be a walkthrough, and that's because I am going to kind of try to present you with some general strategies. So, perfect example, like I said, you know, using your teammates to your advantage, trying to get them to advance before you advance, to kind of draw the fire away from yourself. Things like that I will be sharing throughout this walkthrough. But at the end of the day, the thing is, with Call of Duty, I mentioned this in the first video, but Call of Duty is very generous with checkpoints. They just hand them out like free candy. And so even in those tough sections, like the plane section and the Jeep section, it just takes some persistence. You know, you're going to die a few times. I definitely did. But eventually you'll learn the patterns and kind of get through it. And I guess my goal for this walkthrough is to kind of show you those patterns before the fact to try to make things easier on you while you're actually doing it for yourself. Now anyway, once you get into this field here, I wanted to run over behind this shed here. You can see that all of the enemies are pretty much already taken care of, so there's not a whole lot of threat here. This is an area where my teammates actually did do a fair amount of work. Now we're gonna approach kind of the same thing here. There's gonna be this little hill, and you see I'm just gonna run down and run to the right. That was a mistake. I meant to run to the left. You could see how by running to the right I kind of got stuck on a barrel and took some damage. Now this is going to be one of the last areas where you actually need grenades. Actually, this is the last area where you need grenades, so that's why you just saw me use like 3 of them in a row. You can't see it, but right over this barrier here, right over this overturned cart, is an anti-aircraft gun, and I threw the grenades over in that direction because there was an operator on the gun, and so my grenades ended up taking him down. If your grenades don't end up hurting him, then just kind of pop out of cover and put a couple shots in him. He's obviously occupied shooting this gun. But anyway, guys, here we go. This is the anti-aircraft section, one of the harder parts of the level. You're going to have to shoot a number of German planes down. Now, what you want to do here is try to lead them. So you'll see this center reticle. You'll notice how I'm not really focusing it right on the plane. I kind of have it just right in front of the plane's path, and that will kind of guarantee that you do in fact hit the plane. Now there's going to be a number of waves here, but like I said, you do get various checkpoints throughout this section. So even though it is pretty difficult, the checkpoints should make it no problem. It just takes some persistence, grit your teeth, and after a while you'll kind of learn the pattern and you'll get the hang of how to aim this thing and you'll get through it. Now the easiest part comes when the planes are rushing straight at you, because then you don't even have to lead your shots. You can just shoot straight ahead and you'll be able to hit them. Now in the lower right corner, that's where your if that bar in the lower right corner, if that bar gets full, your weapon will get overheated. So don't just spam it. And in the lower left corner, you could see the turret's health. So obviously you got to keep that up. And you can see how going into this wave here, I only have half health, which makes things kind of difficult. So what I'm going to do, these 2 planes are going to approach from the right. I'm going to aim in front of them. The quicker you can get them down, the better. You see that was pretty quick. Now 3 planes are going to come from straight ahead. So try to shoot them down as fast as you can. Again, the ones that come straight at you, those are typically the easier ones to hit. Now finally, there's going to be 2 planes kind of making a path to the right. And like I said, there's not, for a section like this, there's not really a whole lot of strategy. There's nothing I could tell you. There's nothing anyone could tell you. that will just make the section, oh, okay, that's easy, I'll just do that first try. There's nothing anyone can tell you that will make that happen, which is just kind of how it goes with Call of Duty games. What I think it comes down to is learning the patterns. So those planes, they will always approach from the same location at the same time. So you can learn the patterns, you can anticipate their paths, and you just kind of have to, like I said a number of times, grit your teeth and get through it. Sections like those, they really kind of suck, but those are the essence of Call of Duty games, those kind of over-the-top action sequences. Unfortunately, in this level, there's going to be one more of those to deal with that deals with Jeeps, and it's essentially the same thing. You're in a turret, except in this time, you're going to be in a moving Jeep. But I actually thought the plane part was harder than the Jeep part, so you know, if you're at this point now, you've gotten through the worst of it. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this walkthrough so far. I know I'm enjoying the game so far. I think going back to World War II was a smart choice for the Call of Duty franchise. I'll admit I was kind of surprised. This game seems to have a number of bugs and just kind of rough patches, which, I don't know, kind of surprised me. Anyway, this part is a lot of fun. This is your chance to get back at the enemy. You're going to pick up this sniper rifle, and you're going to shoot these red gasoline barrels. There's going to be 2 weapons here with enemies operating them. You have to kill all the enemies operating these turrets. Those gasoline barrels should do the trick for the first one, and then you're just going to aim down your sights and kill everyone on the second machine, and eventually he'll say everyone operating those weapons is defeated. You don't have to worry about that anymore, and so now you can kind of just use the weapon for fun and take out as many Nazis as you can. So go ahead and aim down your path and get things done. Alright, so sorry if you just heard kind of a large metallic banging. My stupid cat, who always seems to want to mess up my commentaries, knocked over my dustpan in the corner of my room, and somehow my extremely oversensitive microphone probably picked it up. I swear to God, that cat's sole purpose in life is to ruin my commentary. Every time it happens. Anyway, what you're going to do here is there's going to be this tank on the far right. We're actually going to hide behind this tank, and so in this area there are a lot of enemies. And you can see how there are a couple key enemies that you are going to want to try to take out. So you see this guy over here in this machine gun nest. I'm going to shoot him from far away. And then there's going to be one more guy on the right side. But you can see here, by using the right tank, you can see that we can actually stand, so instead of standing behind the tank, we can actually stand to the right of the tank, and we are basically covered from the entire firefight going on the left side of the map. So this is why this is a good strategy here. Choose the right side tank instead of the central tank, because if you hide behind the center tank, there's not a lot of cover. You can only hide behind it. If you hide behind the right side tank, you can have a lot more cover, and then you can get to this trench here. Now you can see this enemy. That was a heroic action opportunity, but somehow I accidentally shot the enemy. I don't know. Those seem to be tougher than I would think. And there was also a collectible right there that I picked up only because it was right in front of me. But again, I'm not going to be focusing on collectibles or anything like that. But anyway, by hiding behind the right side tank instead of the center tank, you can essentially avoid that entire firefight. You saw I only killed, I think, 3 enemies out of, I don't know, however many there were in the section, and that's because the tanks will do most of the work for you. You just have to pick a spot where you'll have ample amount of cover, which is exactly what I did. So, all right, so you'll see this house at the top of the hill. Again, our goal is to kind of storm up here. Now, luckily, since we have the tanks on our side, the Germans in the area are all going to be kind of retreating, so we actually don't have to do a whole lot of fighting here. There are going to be a couple enemies right here, though, so as you approach the corner of this house, there's going to be a number of enemies that pop out. Try to stick to the wall, you know, play it safe, take cover, and then just creep around the corner. I think there's only like 2 or 3 guys here, so there's not a whole lot to actually worry about. Alright, and there we go. So now the area is clear. Oh, never mind. There are a couple enemies. Oh, that was cool. There's a couple enemies inside the house. You can, your weapon actually has a bayonet on it, and while you're sprinting, you can use the bayonet to ram somebody, very similar to like in Gears of War 3 and 4. But yeah, anyway, once this room is clear, go ahead and walk up to the second story. You see your objective is to destroy 3 artillery guns. I'm going to go ahead and pick up this new shotgun, and now each gun is going to have a number of gasoline cans around it, so I'm just going to go ahead and shoot those. You'll see, even if you miss like I just did, it's not the end of the world. Just re-aim, focus, and pop the shot. Really, really simple here. You don't actually have to shoot any soldiers. The soldiers aren't really going to be shooting at you. Just pop in the scope real quick, shoot a gasoline tank, and that's enough to destroy the gun. You could see that I just destroyed all 3 artillery guns in, what, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, so that part is really not difficult. And now we're going to resume our initial approach. We're going to hide behind the tanks and use them as cover as we kind of storm this hill here. And then what I'm going to do is run up behind these sandbags. Alright, so there's a number of enemies in the trench, and this is a really interesting feature of the game. You'll hear my soldier, he just said they're surrendering, and you'll see these 2 Nazis off in the distance raising their hands, and all you have to do is aim your weapon at them for about 5 seconds, and they will surrender. They'll get down on their knees, and they are essentially done. And it's really weird. On my initial playthrough, I kept turning around because I thought they would I thought as soon as I turned my back, they would fight me, but that didn't seem to be the case.
Lieutenant. Hold on. CO approaching.
All right, listen up. Charlie Company's under assault near the church. They need ammo and fire support. Send a squad immediately.
Sir, we're already stretched pretty thin.
Then stretch thinner.
Yes, sir.
Shit. We can take the jeep, so we're gonna need armored support.
Right, that's the plan. Perez! Pearson will follow you with the squad.
Can't do it. Just got orders from Collins. We're heading west with the 11th.
God damn it.
Those boys are running out of time.
You're on your own. Take the jeeps and head out. Move!
All right, snap to it. Charlie's up Shit Creek and we're the paddle. Let's go! Let's go!
Alright guys, so this is going to be the last section of the level. This is the Jeep section that I was talking about. Now the first part is really easy. You actually just have to drive the Jeep. That's it. It's very simple. Now you'll see this bar on the right, on the bottom of the screen, and the game does not tell you what this bar represents, and to be honest, I have no idea. Now you'll see that one side of it is green, the other side is red. I thought that it might have something to do with the engine, like if you're in the red, that means your engine's getting overheated because you're pressing on the gas too hard. To be honest, I still do not know what the bar represents because it was never a problem for me. If it got in the red, I just kind of eased off the acceleration and that seemed to help. So maybe that is what the bar is. But all in all, this section is really easy. You just have to drive the Jeep. You get to run over a couple enemies. Just kind of stick. There's a number of different paths you can take. You can see how there's a couple forks in the road. I'm going to kind of stick to the right side, but it really shouldn't matter. Again, I don't really know what that bar represents, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. If you figure out what that bar is, then feel free to share it in the comments so other people can know. But as for me, I couldn't really figure it out. Anyway, this is the hard part. So you're actually going to get in the turret of the Jeep. First things first, there's going to be 2 enemy Jeeps that emerge in front of you, so go ahead and shoot everyone inside of those Jeeps. Now you'll see in the lower left-hand corner, your Jeep has this health bar. Obviously, you don't want the health to go too far down. Now right here, you're going to just shoot these enemies through the fence right here. Now there is one part, probably one part to this that is crucial. What you're going to do is you're going to turn around this road. There's going to be another shack in the distance, and there's going to be some red gasoline tanks in front. That's what caused that explosion right there. Make sure you actually shoot those gasoline tanks. Now, the only other piece of strategy I can give you here is you might be tempted to just kind of spray and pray. That was my initial approach. But believe it or not, it's a lot easier if you actually just take the time to aim down your sights and just take it one enemy at a time. At first I thought that would be ineffective because there was just so many enemies in the area. I thought if I focus on only one, that they would kill me for sure, but that seems to be what helped the most here. Just aim your weapon, focus on one enemy at a time, and make sure they're actually dead before you move on to the next enemy. You can see I ended up finishing with just a small amount of health, but eventually that will get the job done, and we will end the level with a cutscene.
We gotta stop meeting like this.
Don't you be going soft on me, Murphy.
Well, thanks for showing up when you did.
Thank Captain Davis. It was his orders. Okay. It's too late to press on. It looks like you boys got a reprieve.
Excuse me, Sergeant?
Yeah.
Isn't half the crowd army on the other side of those buildings? Shouldn't we find a better place to set up a perimeter?
Sure, Private. Why don't you book us a room at the Ritz?
Sir. He's scared as all.
Why don't you worry about your own problems? Like how that side is gonna hold up tomorrow.
I'm right as rain, Sergeant.
Daniels, why don't you watch him? The only thing more dangerous than the enemy is pride. Rest up, boys. We take Marigny at first light.
Alright guys, as always, thank you for watching. This is the end of Operation Cobra. Again, this is the ending screen. You can see in the lower left corner that I beat it on Veteran Difficulty. I hope this video helped you out. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance. Let me know what you think of the game and of the walkthrough so far, and I will see you in the next mission.